You ever have one of those mornings where you think you're about to watch someone else's disaster, and then, surprise, it's yours? Yeah, that was me, hauling a 50-pound bag of rock salt across the frozen gravel when those red and blue lights popped up in my rearview mirror. Honestly, my first thought was, someone's wrecked on the county road again, better grab the first aid kit. Didn't even cross my mind that I might be the main event. If only I'd known, right? Welcome to ranch life in Montana, where the drama finds you, even if your nearest neighbor's half a mile away. I'm Keith Morrison, and the Double M Ranch outside Billings has been my kingdom, if you can call a place with more cows than people a kingdom, for 15 years now. 12,000 acres of rolling pasture, bought out of my granddad's estate back when I still thought I had a clue about land law and neighborly disputes. Truth is, I thought I'd seen it all: droughts, flash floods, a horse that once bit a hole through my Carhartt jacket, but nothing quite prepared me for a cold February morning when the law came calling for me. So there's Officer Patterson, barely old enough to grow a proper mustache, shifting from foot to foot like he's got a pebble in his boot. I set the salt down, wipe my hands on my jeans, classic rancher move, try to look respectable when you probably have hay stuck in your hair, and ask what the problem is. Sorry to bother you, Keith, but I've got a complaint to check out, he says, his breath turning to steam in the air. Complaint? About what? My fence line? My cows breaking loose? Turns out nope. He pulls out this tiny notebook, flips a few pages, and reads, "Spreading hazardous materials on public property. Environmental hazard. Caller says it's contaminating the water supply. Name of Brenda Keimel, Sunset Meadows HOA." Let that sink in a second. I almost laughed. Sunset Meadows? That development's 3 miles down the road. I've never set foot in their gated paradise. Meanwhile, I'm just salting my driveway, because if you've ever watched a full-grown ranch hand go down on black ice, you don't take chances anymore. Patterson's scratching his head, but he's got to follow procedure, so I lead him over to the salt bag, let him take pictures, show him it's just the same Mortons anyone buys at the hardware store. He nods, a little embarrassed, and promises to let Brenda know it's a non-issue. I'm thinking, great, back to work. Except, plot twist, Brenda is just getting started. Couple days later, I get a certified letter, so thick I figure someone sent me a phone book. Sunset Meadows HOA, all caps, 6 pages of legalese, and the world's most aggressive use of bold fonts. I sit down with my coffee and start reading. Apparently, I'm in violation of 17 different HOA rules. Unsightly barns, unapproved landscaping, keeping livestock. On a ranch, mind you, environmental contamination by rock salt, operating a commercial business without HOA blessing, the list goes on. They want me to show up at their board meeting and submit a compliance plan. I nearly spit my coffee out laughing. Then, reading it a third time, I get angry. These people seriously think their subdivision can tell me what to do with land my family's worked for 70 years. I call Tom Henderson, my lawyer, old friend of the family, the kind of guy who still keeps a fax machine because he doesn't trust email. "Tom, I need you to read something," I say. Some HOAs claiming my ranch is under their thumb. There's a long pause, the kind you only get when someone's mentally sorting through a dozen worst-case scenarios. Fax it over. Bring every deed, survey, and napkin map you've got. Something doesn't add up. That night, I hardly sleep. It's like 1,000 little voices of my grandfather, tough as old leather, never took lip from anyone, are whispering, "Don't let them push you." Next morning, I'm hauling every property document I own into Tom's office. He's got the county plat maps spread across the table, sticky notes everywhere, coffee already gone cold. It's a mess, Keith. When Sunset Meadows was built, their developer claimed there's an old right-of-way through your north pasture, some wagon path from the 1880s, supposedly. I stare at him. "You're telling me they built roads through my property?" "Not exactly, but close enough it's going to be a legal circus. Either there's a real easement and you're stuck, or it's all smoke and mirrors and they're trespassing. Here's the kicker. I was flat on my back with pneumonia when all this happened, so I didn't see a single bulldozer or survey crew. Tom says, we're going to need to dig deep. Old records, new surveys, everything. And you have to show up at that HOA meeting." I groan. "Why?" "They've got no authority." Tom leans in, serious as a heart attack. "If those roads are even partly on your land and you stay quiet, they'll try to claim squatters' rights. You have to fight this now." So that's how I end up one Tuesday evening driving my mud-splattered pickup through a subdivision that looks like a movie set. Identical houses, perfect lawns, HOA rules posted out front. The community center is packed. Brenda Keimel sits at the front, hair like a helmet, dressed for a Senate hearing, not a neighborhood spat. They drone through agenda items, wrong bushes, rogue trash cans, denied basketball hoops. Then, next, the property violation at 14,000 Ranch Road. Is the owner present? I stand up. I'm Keith Morrison. I own the Double M Ranch. Brenda's eyes light up like Christmas. Mr. Morrison, you've ignored repeated notices. I cut her off. Got one letter last week. And for the record, I don't acknowledge your authority on my land. That riles the room. Brenda insists their plat map shows my parcels inside their boundaries, specifically along Meadowbrook Drive and Sunset Circle. Those are roads built on my land without my knowledge, I say. We have a historic right-of-way, she fires back, waving papers. Show me the original documents, I reply. Her vice president, Gerald, chimes in. People need those roads for access, Mr. Morrison. Like it or not, they're staying. If they're on my property without legal right, I shoot back, they're coming out. Not up for debate. The meeting dissolves into chaos, folks pulling out phones, worried they'll be trapped if the roads go. Brenda threatens legal action. We'll sue you for every penny, she snaps. You do what you need to do, I say and walk out, leaving a shouting match in my wake. Next morning, Tom's got news. No sign of any real 1880s right-of-way, just a hand-drawn map some developer found and twisted into a claim. Worse, their roads cut right through 11 acres of my land, prime grazing territory worth over $150,000. So now what? I ask. Tom says, we're filing suit. But brace yourself, they'll claim it's unfair to fix now because it's too disruptive for the homeowners. Judges hate harsh results, but the law's on your side. A week later, the HOA retaliates by blocking my main ranch entrance with a chain and a couple of their goons in HOA polos. I call the sheriff, who throws up his hands. This is above my pay grade, Keith. You need a court order. So, now I'm driving 15 miles out of my way, humiliated, asking my neighbor Chuck for permission to cross his land just to get home. Fast forward, and we're in court. Their lawyer, slick as a greased pig, argues that I had years to object and now I'm just being mean. Tom explains I was sick, I never got notice, I lost income leasing that pasture, and that, under the law, you can't just pave over a rancher's land and call it even. Judge Wells, a woman with zero patience for nonsense, rules quickly. You can't block access. Remove the chain, full stop. We'll settle the bigger question at a full hearing. Weeks go by, surveyors, legal filings, tense meetings. Turns out, every argument the HOA boils down to. It would be expensive to fix. Meanwhile, my side's airtight, no notice, no consent, 11 acres stolen. When the hearing finally comes, Brenda paints me as a villain, trying to destroy their community over a technicality. But when it's my turn, I talk about my grandfather, what the land means, the real loss I've suffered. Not just money, but legacy. Judge Wells is blunt. Mr. Morrison owns the land. No valid historic easement. HOA's mistake, HOA's problem. They've got 12 months to move the roads or pay fair market rent, $8,000 a month, plus $75,000 in damages. If they can't move the roads after a year, Keith can remove them and bill the HOA. Brenda looks like she's about to faint. The homeowners get a letter, $6,000 special assessment to cover the costs. Uproar, resignations, even lawsuits against the developer, who promptly declares bankruptcy. And here's the twist, the moral gut punch. A woman named Sarah calls me, voice breaking. Please, Mr. Morrison, we didn't know. We don't have $6,000. It hits me hard. These aren't villains, they're just folks who wanted a home. Tom warns me not to get soft, but my grandfather's voice echoes. Being right isn't the same as being just. So, I make a deal with Gerald, the new HOA president. They pay me $250,000 for a permanent easement. Covers the land, lost income, legal fees. It's less than what I could have squeezed, but it keeps families in their homes and sets things straight. Judge approves it. Ranch is secure, debts paid off, and that's the end of it, or so I think. Turns out, my lawsuit kicks off a deeper investigation. Detective Chun from the sheriff's office calls. Turns out the developer did this all over, fabricating easements, lying on documents, cutting corners. Their CEO and surveyor end up in court. Webb, the developer, gets 4 years in federal prison. His surveyor loses his license. Brenda faces lawsuits and public humiliation, her insurance paying out to angry homeowners. The dust settles. I get invited to the HOA to explain my side, and I go. I stand in front of the folks who once wanted to sue me into the ground and tell them the truth. Land is more than property. It's family legacy. I wasn't trying to ruin anyone. I just wanted what was fair. The applause is real. Sarah hugs me. Gerald and I become friends. Their kids come out to see the ranch, wide-eyed at the cattle and the open sky. You know, after all that, here's what sticks with me. The lesson I wish I'd learned sooner. Standing up for yourself isn't about bulldozing everyone else. It's about finding the line between justice and revenge. I could have ripped out those roads, bankrupted the HOA, but I'd be haunted every time I saw a moving truck or a crying kid. I didn't just win. I did right by my grandfather, by the land, and maybe by the folks who'll inherit all this someday. Now the Double M Ranch is safe. The roads are covered by an ironclad easement. I've got a healthy chunk of change in the bank, and the only thing I have to worry about is whether the salt will run out before the next snowstorm. No one calls the cops about my driveway anymore. Sometimes Gerald even asks my advice on de-icing. Go figure. The cows, the horses, the hills, they don't care about property lines or HOAs. They just want grass and water, and I'm finally back to giving them that undisturbed. But let me leave you with this. Whose side would you have taken? The stubborn rancher defending his legacy? The homeowners caught in the crossfire? Or is there someone else to blame? Maybe a system that lets paperwork trump common sense, or people who abuse power because they think no one's watching. Where do you draw the line between what's legal and what's truly just? I want to hear your story. Have you ever had to stand your ground, or maybe been caught in a mess not of your own making? Drop your thoughts below. Right, wrong, justice, or just desserts, because if there's one thing I learned, it's that every bit of land and every life has a story worth telling.